It's the final countdown. Today is Sunday, the 30th of July, 2017. I am Chris Ellis, and we are joined by a special guest today. We have Hisham with us, along with the motley crew, the lineup. But I'm here to talk about a special website which you guys have probably almost certainly, unless you've been living under a rock for the last few weeks, been using to figure out the signaling of SegWit lock-in and activation. And I was talking on Twitter to Hisham, and I didn't even know that he was actually the guy that created this. And when I scrolled down on his website to see like how many people had donated to him, I was shocked and appalled to see that he's only raised a measly 0.22 Bitcoin. So I wanted to take this opportunity today to really try and come together as a community to try and raise him some money. So we're just going to have a short show today where we're going to chew the fat. But all of today's donations, I invite you to send over to Hisham's address. This is it. It's also on xbt.eu, where you can see the countdown to the activation of SegWit. And Hisham, why don't you tell us a little bit about the project and why you set it up, and talk about its popularity. Were you even expecting it to get that many views?
Sure. Thank you for inviting me, Chris. Well, it all started like a couple of months ago. I really wasn't happy with the way how the signaling of Bitcoin Unlimited and SegWit Witness was going. So I created xbt.eu for myself only, for a couple of friends, and it was just a hobby project. And on 15th July, Alistair asked me if I were going to count the New York agreement text in the Coinbase. So I quickly made a Coinbase counter, but it still wasn't the real deal. You know, we still had no miners who were actually signaling for BIP91. So it was 17th July, and I implemented it on the website. I really had to rebuild a couple of things, and just like when it went live, 1 hour or 1.5 hours later, BitClub started signaling for for BIP91 again, right, because they did in the past as well.
Yeah, I remember. So that was the date. And I think I must have retweeted you because you were one of the first people to notice it. And that was when everyone realized that weekend that it didn't really matter how bad the SegWit 2x code was, because all they were implementing was SegSignal, BIP91, right? And your site was the one that was giving people that real-time information on which software the miners were running. Just, Hisham, if you wouldn't mind, just tilt your camera slightly because you've got a little bit of lens flare in there.
Oh, sure.
But tell us about that. So how did your site go from just looking at the Coinbase transactions to figuring out what code the actual miners were running?
Well, it's the block versions that they're creating. It can be spoofed. I mean, you cannot be 100% sure that they're actually running the software. So for all that matters, it's perfectly normal that Bitmain and others are actually running core and using SegSignal. So there's no real way of telling. But BIP91, the block should contain bit 4 and bit 1. Bit 1 is for SegWit Witness, of course, and bit 4 is the BIP91 blocks.
Great. And what's next? This is Hisham's Twitter, by the way, everyone. If you want to go give him a follow, you can do that right now. What's coming next then for the website? So what's the next landmark that we have to come?
There are plans to rebuild it, actually, because I'm very certain that we'll have SegWit Witness soon, and after that, we won't need any lock-in timer anymore. I mean, let's be real, the 2 MB hard fork is not going to happen. Well, not on my side. I mean, I'm not going to run any shitty software. Yeah, but there are some ideas for a new project, and I cannot say much about it, but it'll be live next year, beginning next year. But it will be fun, and yeah, I've got a couple of other things going on right now, but nothing special actually.
How did you choose the happy parrot for the celebration graphic?
The happy parrot. Yeah, well, I think it's something from the past. The happy parrot is from when it's ageless.
Did your site? Did you have any troubles with your site when SegWit was rolling over? Did you have crashes or have to put more servers up or anything like that?
Well, at first I had a DDoS attack on the website. I'm not really sure why or by who. Some people said it must be the amount of visitors, but it clearly was a DDoS attack. And shortly after that, we had let's see, like how many? Like almost 40,000 unique visitors at the same time refreshing the pages. So on the BIP91 login, the website crashed.
How many views did you get?
Views on that day on the login, it was, I had like, let's see, around 1.5 to 2 million page views.
Wow.
And it was close to 100,000 unique visitors.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was stressing.
All right, and let's talk about the financial part of this, because you said you only got 0.22 in donations. How much do you think you spent keeping the servers online? Was this a very expensive overture here?
Well, I'm using my personal dedicated server, but to offload the traffic, I'm using a proxy server, another proxy server which snapshots the website. So I'm a bit of cheating, but it's real time. So if there's a new block found, it will be projected on the website like instantly. So, but cost-wise, I don't know, a couple of, maybe a couple of like $100 to $100 a month for the server.
Very interesting, because I can tell you that I definitely saw that the graphic that's featured prominently on your website with the percentages just completely tear through Twitter, like it completely went viral. I was using it as well. I was tweeting out the image. It was just so perfect for a Twitter image, and even for a Reddit. I guess it was just perfect for social media, because you could just get that little circle and paste it anywhere, and it just looked beautiful. It had everything right there. See, the other sites just didn't really make it prominent. They didn't feature it prominently. And now, after your site was created and blew up and went viral, CoinDance seems to now actually start having start featuring a prominent spotlight. Right? They now have a spotlight of what's being activated. So I think that you had a strong influence in that, and yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, probably. I mean, just the same day, CoinDance also released their spotlight tracker. It was kind of coincidental.
I think it could have been coincidental, but something tells me they were very much inspired by your graphics there.
I hope so.
Looks like we had a couple of donations. We had a 0.03 and a 0.001 and a 0.003. So any donations that you donate right now, go to XBT, who helped you understand SegWit and keep track of the blocks every day.
Thank you.
Instead of Bitcoin sign guy, we gotta call him Bitcoin chat or Bitcoin chart guy. Sorry.
I mean, that's perfect. I'm Bitcoin chart guy, so thanks.
All right, looks like we're having a trouble hearing from Chris right now, but we are joined by Theo Goodman. How's it going, Theo? Looks like you're out in the park.
I'm doing well, thanks. Yeah, I'm outside. Luckily, in my neighborhood, there is something called Freifunk, public Wi-Fi, and I'm glad to join today. Thank you very much.
Very good. And Theo, what did you think about XBT? Did you check it a lot to get the SegWit block updates?
I did check it a few times, and especially after I realized I was going to the Bitcoin conference, and I saw the Twitter channel and everything, and I thought, oh yeah, that's the guy. I didn't get to talk to him at the conference about it that much, but because we were mostly just hanging out. But yeah, I have checked it a few times, and it's interesting to get the stats. And maybe today we could talk about what some of the stats mean and if they're really relevant to anything. And, you know, it's all about, that's how all statistics are, right? It's all about how you spin it.
Well, certainly. And are the statistics relevant? Bitcoin chart guy, is there anything happening now? The blocks are locking in. We're going to get SegWit. What's next?
Well, I mean, I think the lock-in threshold August 8th. Yeah, August 8th will be like a bigger deal than BIT91, because this is really the eureka moment for Bitcoin. I mean, we're finally getting it. We're finally going to grow. We're going to the next level, you know, and this is part of history. And it's a very beautiful part of history. And the next thing is, yeah, maybe 2MB hard fork. They'll hard fork twice, probably. I don't know. Let him. But other things that is possible to put in charts. I mean, I'm not really sure.
So I know in just a few days we're going to duck under the UASF because SegWit will be activated on the network. Then we have the activation of SegWit for real. But what will you chart next? What, like the halving maybe? Or how about a number of how many Bitcoins are there? So there seems to be more Bitcoins every day.
Yeah, you mean like keeping track of the block rewards?
Well, maybe even the number of forks or the number of variable coins.
Like the fork counter or something like that. Yeah, we could probably do something like that. It's no problem. I mean,
we don't hear you, Chris. I think Chris is trying to talk, but I don't hear him.
I think Chris has got to disconnect and reconnect. Have you tried turning it off and on again? We're having trouble with the Wi-Fi. Well, we had to contact some guy down at the lorry, and we called him at the shop, and he said, check the Wi-Fi. Go ahead, there.
No, I just was meaning, you know, how many different alternative implementations are and what the status is on them, and, you know, that kind of thing. I think that's what they mean by different forks. I mean, you know, some of them, I think the thing is that the upcoming, I don't know if we've talked about it, sorry for jumping on late, but the Bitcoin Cash, it's not really a fork per se. I don't want to say something, or I say something technically wrong, and everyone can correct me in the comments, but, you know, it's just kind of like an airdrop onto this already made chain, sort of, right? Does that make sense?
No, can you hear me now? Is my coming through?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Correct me, please.
So it's not an airdrop. And it's not an airdrop because, like, airdrops like Clam, for example, what they've done, or Stellar Lumens, is they take a snapshot of the blockchain. They take a snapshot of the UTXO set, so that if you've got a key, you could take a proactive measure. You can sign a transaction or just import the private key into their wallet, and it will look back at the snapshot at the time it was taken, and then just give you the equivalent Clam coin or Stellar Lumens or Byte Balls or whatever it happens to be. Whereas with a hard fork, they're keeping the Genesis block, they're maintaining the entire chain. You can just install this Bitcoin Cash on top of your existing client, Bitcoin client, and it will point to the database, and it will just keep you on a different chain, but keep all those historical transactions, you know, completely intact. So that's the difference.
Okay, great. Because that was there was a discussion going on with some people. Some people said it's a snapshot. Some people say it's not, but it's clearly not a snapshot right now.
No.
And also, just while I remember it, just to bring it up, because there is a lot of confusion. When you do download, and I think it's still like this, if you do download the ABC client, it will, by default, use the same folder in your, I think in Windows it's called app data or whatever, basically same folder. So you could potentially mess something up. So everyone, if you're gonna do it, you know, maybe you want to name it something different or whatever, because that could potentially mess something up. I don't know what, I don't want to experiment about what it messes up, but that's something you need to pay attention to.
Yeah, the big difference is the mining, right? Is that it's going to be using the same mining algorithm as Bitcoin, but they're lowering the difficulty down. So what via BTC I think hope to happen is that they created this futures market on their own exchange. They've created the incentives in such a way that you can have this futures price, a lower difficulty, and then on the 1st of August, everyone's got this opportunity, or the miners got this opportunity to mine a SHA-256 coin with a lower difficulty, but the same kind of branding as Bitcoin, and this kind of futures price that's trading in China right now. The hope was, and this is where we can get into more of the accounting side of things and what's happening at Finex and Poloniex and Kraken and and Coinbase, and the reason why they're all giving, having different policies is because a lot of these exchanges have lending markets, right? So to take you through it, what happens is that if you want to take out a margin short position on an exchange, that is, you want to think that Bitcoin's going to go down in price, what you have to do is you have to borrow Bitcoins. Even if you have Bitcoins already in your balance, you have to borrow Bitcoins off a lending market. So Polo and I think Bitfinex have this. I'm not sure if Kraken do. But essentially, it means that you have to borrow those Bitcoins off of a lender. But then, of course, you're selling them into the market. So somebody, let's say on the spot market, is then buying up those Bitcoins off of you. And now you're in a short position, hoping that the price goes down. Well, what do you do at block height N on the 1st of August, whenever the hard fork takes place? If you've got a bunch of lenders who were maybe lending out for 30 days or 2 weeks before this announcement was even made, so they didn't have time to prepare for it, they've lent their Bitcoins out, somebody on the spot market has bought them, then they've taken them off the exchange. Well, now the exchange is now caught short because it doesn't have those 10 Bitcoins or whatever was sold in their wallet to claim the BCH tokens. So how is it going to make the lender whole? Well, the technically correct answer is to make the shorter pay for it. The person who borrowed the Bitcoins off of you to sell them onto the market, they should have to go onto the open market at the time they close that position and buy the Bitcoins back that they sold, plus buying the BCH tokens to pay back the lender to make the lender whole. The problem was that this all happened at such short notice that a lot of people may have been in short position, accumulated a large short position, and the trade they entered into wasn't the trade that they were going to be presented with on the 1st of August unexpectedly, when now they've got a liability to, or not only buy back the Bitcoins that they shorted, but to buy back these BCH tokens to make the lenders whole. Does that make sense? And that's why some of these exchanges have had to implement different policies. Right? Kraken is actually making the shorts pay, and then the margin longs also pay. But Bitfinex has, this coefficient model where if you are basically lending it out, you'll get the Bitcoins, and if you're settled, you'll have the Bitcoins in your balance, the BCH tokens to mirror it. But depending on the ratio of longs to shorts, everyone might get a little bit more BCH token, everyone might get a little less BCH token. So if there are more shorts like there are at the moment, obviously everyone's going to get a little bit less BCH tokens, because the exchange now has a liability to pay back the lender and also the person that bought them on the spot market when they were shorted. And without wanting to give those shorters this unexpected liability of like, oh, suddenly, I have to buy up, 1,000 BCH tokens on the open market, which would mean that Bitfinex would have to list it just like Kraken. You see how the sort of the incentives are all kind of misaligned and skewed up. That's why you've got all these different policies.
We're getting some questions from the chat. The chat wants to know, why would you fork to create your new coin? If your coin is legitimately better, why not start with your own Genesis block and mining system?
Because it doesn't have you don't have the distribution, you have the network effects. What Bitcoin has that I think a lot of the critics don't like is this unexpected, unanticipated network effect. And I don't even really think this is a good faith effort to try and improve Bitcoin. I really don't. I think this is just you're trying to look for a vulnerability in Bitcoin. And one of its vulnerabilities is the fact that it's open source, that it's a public ledger. Anyone at any time can take that UTXO set, duplicate it, Genesis block and all, the whole data set, and simply fork the code. And I encourage people on my Twitter right now, it says everyone gets a blockchain, everyone gets a dedicated version of their own private Bitcoin. If you want to, you can. And apparently there are even plans to fork Bitcoin Cash after it launches, like fork it straight away and just keep on creating.
No, a fork of Bitcoin Cash. No.
Bitcoin,
A fork of a fork.
BCCC, so Bitcoin
Yeah.
Classic.
Well, it's bitch. It's pronounced bitch, right? BCH, pronounced Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin Cash is actually something you can set up in your Bitcoin config file to help measure like how much memory your computer allocates to all the DB files that you're loading up. So I don't know like how they're spelling it. They're spelling
did
it
he freeze for you guys?
No, it's
No,
like I'm not sure like how they're spelling it CASH, but cache is actually spelled CACHE, and it's how you set up the memory allocation to your database.
Well, and
So
I do
don't-
want to update everyone that the Bitcoin Cash project is completely different than Bitcoin. As you can see here, we have the Bitcoin logo, right? Now, I'm about to show you the Bitcoin Cash logo. Okay, so once again, here's the Bitcoin logo. Okay, this one's Bitcoin. This one is the Bitcoin Cash logo. Okay, so bitch, please.
So also, I believe that if you use the wrong names or the wrong logos in any kind of software that you're going to make that's going to be compatible, you might have issues because, you know, someone tried to name something the wrong name, some software, I think it was Electrum or Electrocash or whatever. But anyway, they got, you know, they said, hey, you have to cease and desist that, or you got to rename it because that's a violation of our trademark, or I don't know what. But
I think it was
anyway,
a violation of the license. That's what they said. The MIT
exactly.
license.
So be careful when you use the second one that Thomas is showing right now, because you might get, you know, a nasty letter in the mail or email or Twitter DM or something. But on going to something more interesting, I want to go back really quickly to that mining thing, because, and maybe there could be a chart on the XBT website, I don't know, about the difficulty, because it's a different difficulty adjustment than Bitcoin, you know, and I think, like Chris said, it's going to, the way that it is, basically it just attracts a lot of people at the beginning because the difficulty will be low, and so there's a big incentive to mine it, and there'll be a whole lot of hash power, and that, you know, that could create a kind of a buzz, you know, saying, hey, we've got a bunch of hash power, look at all the support, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know, is there going to be a chart for that? And you know, what's that going to mean when the difficulty does go up? Do you guys think that miners might go away from it? Or, you know, at the beginning, of course, I think there will be a lot of hash power because, yeah, the difficulty's low. And if you're already set up and you're ready to change all your mine, it's not that easy to change like a whole data center of miners just like that. But, you know, if you're ready to if you're getting prepared for it, of course, you could. And, you know, the difficulty's low, so you'd have a whole bunch of that, and maybe there would be a nice price rise in it. And who knows? I don't know. I'm not really sure myself, but I think I do know that the mining, a mining difficulty adjustment is very different, or different enough to attract miners at the beginning. That's how I looked at it. What do you guys think?
I don't know where people are going to get their exit. I don't know where these miners are going to try and get their exit, other than on Kraken maybe. The closest thing you have in the West is the Kraken, and then plus they're going to have it on CryptoWatch because they own the CryptoWatch website. But yeah, I mean, it could be a complete non-event. Like it could stall out and not really happen. Doesn't get enough hashing power. It comes under attack. People start forking it, undermining it. The fact that all these exchanges don't have a universal ticker symbol. They've got different policies on the distribution for the lenders and the shorters and the margin longs. I think it's going to create enough of a confusion that it's not going to be like ETC and ETH. The difference with ETC and ETH is ETC was retrofitted into the exchanges, right? The exchanges all switched over their software and they gave everyone this new ETH token. But then there was the main chain, the original chain, that was still being mined all along. And then it was only after a while that they realized, oh, actually, there's enough demand for this thing. We'd better retrofit it and put it back in. And then everyone gets the Ethereum original, right? But that's because of a lot of the backroom, you know, chats, and the fact that, you know, the Ethereum Foundation often speak to the exchanges in Skype channels, in private Skype rooms and Slack rooms, and they were trying to influence, you know, that kind of decision on behalf of we the community, right? We the community, like, are putting in this hard fork, and just presume that that's what the market would want. Like, I remember Ethereum people turning around and going, why does anyone want this ETC token? This doesn't make any sense to us. Like, this is the one where the hackers got his coins. Like, we don't see why you would do that. But obviously there was demand for people that wanted an immutable blockchain, you know, TM. And what via BTC now are doing is they're going with the anti-SegWit narrative, right? They're saying, well, there will be a market demand for a blockchain that scales like the new Bitcoin with the SegWit, but without the SegWit. That's the marketing strategy they're going for. But I just don't know that many people. Right now, all I see in the market is people saying, well, sure, if I'm going to get them for free and there's no cost, fine, I'll have them for free. But I don't think anyone is really expecting to get rich off of this, because all Bitcoin Cash's success will do is take away from Bitcoin's network effect. So if anything, by claiming a Bitcoin Cash, all you're really doing is making up the difference. When Bitcoin comes down, Bitcoin Cash will go up. And if they both go up together like Ethereum and Ethereum Classic eventually did, well, that's only because a rising tide raises all ships. It's only because they're both succeeding in their own way. But I don't think it will, because Bitcoin Cash doesn't have that marketing initiative that the Ethereum Foundation have. Ethereum, their core competence, I'll say it again, is marketing and PR. That's what they're really, really good at. They're good at driving up that social media engagement. They're good in going out to mainstream media like Bloomberg and like getting those headlines, calling Bitcoin a pocket calculator and Ethereum's a world computer. They're really good at coming up with these slogans and these taglines, undermining the enemy, using it to bolster their own thing. You know, getting these ICOs on top of Ethereum was genius for supporting a collapsing price after the DAO hack, when it was just going down and down and down. What better way to pump your altcoin than to put more altcoins on top of it? I just don't see that happening with Bitcoin Cash. You don't have that dynamic there. You don't have that marketing team, and you don't have that, you know, sort of scam of like putting other tokens on top.
In the spirit of good marketing, Chris, I'm about to do some live photoshopping here to earn some money for the XBT guy here. As you can see, we've got the buy Bitcoin sign from the Bitcoin sign guy. We were talking about how much everyone loved it and they like to send him funds. So we're going to do a little photoshopping live. You guys can keep talking. Thank you.
Great. Anyone else?
Well, it's almost like, you know, if you prefer your Bitcoin decorified, then absolutely choose Bitcoin Cash, because that is a Bitcoin without core. And it's like so freaking stupid. This is their freaking marketing almost. You mentioned Ethereum are geniuses at marketing. Absolutely true. But these guys are decorifying. It's like, what, how can you get worse marketing than that? That's the team that actually built Bitcoin. That's the entity that actually keeps Bitcoin, that everybody knows and loves, at over $2,700 afloat with 99.999999% uptime, if not 100%, in the last 8 years, that not one single bank or financial institution on this planet can also claim. It just baffles my freaking mind. You know, decorify, absolutely ridiculous. That's their marketing strategy.
I wanted to just say, I got to go soon, but I just wanted to say one thing really quick, is that, yeah, that's definitely the marketing strategy, or the message, you know, decorifying, you know, cut SegWit out of the code, kind of like with a hard axe sort of, and getting rid of that, because everyone knows that's awful. But is what I wanted to say is that I just think, if in the grand scheme of things, it's a little weird, and I don't want to sound like a moon chartist or something, but check this out. All right, 2015, around this exact same time, you had Bitcoin XT, you had the Reddit censorship drama. Okay, it was the same time, and then you had Bitfinex with the "don't close your position twice" drama. It was all the same, you know, 2 or 3 weeks. It was a week even. It was this almost exact date. We can look on the calendar. Then last year, what happened? Bitfinex was hacked, and you had Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. Or again, the same cycle. You know, I don't know if it's like weird humans, or it's the seasons and the sun makes everyone's hormones go crazy, or I don't know what it is, but man, this is the same time of the year. And we got, you know, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin ABC, or now it's BCH. And, you know, you got already the thing, and you've got a lot of things going on. And I just think it's really weird. So who maybe at the end, Thomas, you can do predictions and what's going to happen this time next year. But just wanted to hop on, and I think that everyone check out the site. It is really interesting, and maybe there will be something about the mining difficulty for the Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin CH or whatever it's called, because I think that's an interesting thing that they're trying to do in order to track the hash rate, and I'm wondering what will happen when the difficulty does adjust.
It will be interesting to see how it sorts out, Theo. But we're going good on the Photoshop. As you can see here, we've got the QR code for the donations. We've got the floating head. It's looking a little splotchy. We went for the try to sneak the floating head onto the other guy's head. That didn't work so well. So now we're going to go with the old blend them and pray hope. You just keep blurring everything. What do you think, Vortex? How's the Photoshop going?
Oh, that looks absolutely perfect. I think we just need to get it to go viral and we'll be good to go. I mean, who doesn't love recreating the Bitcoin sign guy video? I mean, I think I saw one with like Fluffy Pony where it's like, don't buy Monero. There's a couple ones on there. I love it, Thomas. I think it's great. It's looking good and it's coming along.
Now, everyone at home will notice I'm using both the Bitcoin logo and the Bitcoin Cash logo. This is both logos in the single graphic. It's like a anti-Civil War type event. Oh, look, Bitcoin Cash is even a square. It's perfect. I don't know. Chris, what do you think? Oh, we've lost Chris again. That's good. Janine, what do you think about the XBT graphic? Did you study it a lot?
I only looked at it a few times because I've like largely ignored most of the drama. I've just been like, I don't like to listen to people who just increase the drama in this community. I prefer to listen to people who actually understand the technology and want to improve it. And I don't think a lot of the people that are involved in the drama part of this I don't think that that's their goal. So I mostly ignore all of the people involved with that because it's just draining. It's just not something that I feel like is worth participating in. So, and also a lot of it is like virtue signaling too, because I feel like even with the UASF stuff, I think that the most productive thing to do is like if you're part of the UASF, you should just run a node and participate that way. I don't think signaling on Twitter does very much. Also because it kind of undermines the idea of being pseudo-anonymous.
Since BIP 92.2, they added in Twitter signaling as part of the vote. Everyone knows that. Yeah,
but well, speaking of what's an objective measurement in terms of signaling, there's been a debate about how do we objectively measure decentralization on the network, and yeah, that didn't go very well because the stuff that they were using to measure decentralization weren't very objective. So I don't know if using signaling on Twitter is that accurate either, because that you have people like Chris who do it sarcastically where he has Bitcoin Cash maximalist. Obviously we know that he's not, but someone who might be measuring that kind of signaling would misreport it as, oh, he's signaling for Bitcoin Cash. So yeah,
I'm going to push back a little bit on that. We've absolutely seen UASF become a grassroots type of organization, a grassroots type of movement. And grassroots movements, aren't kept to themselves. There's not people out there not putting up a sign, holding up a sign when they want to make a difference. Like there's always going to be a reflection of what the community actually thinks coming through many different accounts, such as mine and such as many other people that I know who have, for example, either added UASF in their name or put a picture of themselves with a UASF hat. This stuff is important. Of course, running a UASF node is of the utmost importance, obviously. But you see, nobody can see my node down there. Like nobody can see that. Nobody can see my cable. Nobody can see any of that. So what I do is I would like to help bring the word of user-activated soft work through my Twitter account, and in so express a reflection of what the community is thinking. And so this is, in my opinion, is absolutely important. I mean, whenever there's a movement, there is people out there in the streets with signs expressing themselves.
I mean, look, I don't have, obviously people can put whatever they want in their handle. Like a lot of the people who follow me and I follow are in support. I'm not saying I'm not in support of it. I just think that the the important part should be actually running the node, because that's the signaling that ends up mattering in
We agreed on that.
terms of that. And I don't think that that's being made clear enough. It seems like some people are just putting it in their Twitter handle, and they're not actually running a node. And it has to be made clear that, you know, the most important part is actually running the node, because you have to be actually participating in the network itself, because that's what matters when.
Well, yeah. So like every single person that I've met on Twitter, that I know on Twitter, that is signaling for UASF via some type of tweet or a handle in their name is running a node. I mean, like nobody is gonna just say UASF and on Twitter, and that's how we're gonna
running
do it.
a node?
Of course. Of course, Tone is running a node. There's a lot of people, or attempting to.
Because for a while he wasn't.
Tone bought up.
That's my problem.
He's not exactly technically. No, we love Tone, but there's a lot of people here where running a node might be technically out of their range, and that's okay. But for the most part, every single person that was quote unquote virtue signaling UASF was telling people to get a node and run it. Like myself, I was telling people, get a node, run it. That is the most important thing. You are the users. And I think everybody, including Rodolfo, who was pushing UASF on Twitter as well, was telling people, run a node. There was instructions on how to do it on uasf.co. And so I think that was made very clear by the people who were talking about it on Twitter.
Am I back? I got kicked off. I got censored on the network. Tom, how's the Photoshop coming along? Thomas Hunt.
We are hard at work on the Photoshop. We are starting to add on the important text here that says what we're doing, support.xbt.edu. We can see we have both the Bitcoin logo over here and the Bitcoin Cash logo. And we couldn't really get a good picture of his face, so we put the Phantom of the Opera mask on there. We've got the donation address right here. It's all happening on the Photoshop.
It's beautiful, Thomas. It's beautiful.
Photoshopping. Well, guys, so I wanted to keep this show short, but how long do you need, Tom?
All we have to be is over 10 minutes, according to YouTube rules. You have to tweet about it, be over 10 minutes, tell everyone to like and subscribe. Boom.
Yeah, thumbs up. Well, okay, so whilst Tom's finishing that up, what do we all make of like Coinbase's policy right here? And Poloniex as well, not giving out BCH tokens or BITC tokens to their users, and Coinbase blaming it on network congestion.
Coinbase.
Don't everybody talk at once.
Coinbase. Yeah, you know, they consistently have issues. You know, it seems like they did not handle the Ethereum fork well. They're not going to handle this well. They're not handling this well. So I really don't have a whole lot of faith in Coinbase, and I don't think I ever really did.
Yeah, that looks pretty worrying. I think a lot of people are just like trying to scramble to get control of their keys. Seeing a lot of shorts on Finex, and then people like hedging those shorts. So basically those are hedge shorts. So they're basically taking a long position out on Kraken, and then they're taking a short position out on Finex. Because on Finex, you don't get penalized for having the short, whereas on Kraken, you do. So we're seeing a lot of interesting dynamics. And I think come 2 days' time, I think it might all just prove to be a complete non-event. And no one's going to be able to claim their free Bitcoins or whatever they're called, because they won't have anywhere to sell them. And who's going to buy them? Like, where's that liquidity going to come from? I'm not sure this is really going to work out. Okay.
Hopefully the screen is not stuck on me. The chat saying that the screen was stuck on me for the last 10 minutes, but
no,
I don't see that. I saw it changing from Eucharist, you know, to Mad Bitcoin's Photoshop, back and forth. I don't know.
No, but
it's all good. It's all good.
Disconnections problem too many times. We don't know. There are many, as you can see from the bottom, there are many broken World Crypto accounts still connected.
Good old Google Hangouts. We're trying, people. We're trying. As long as we get the QR code there up for xbt.eu, I think we're doing okay.
Great. Well, any other questions from the troll box before we wrap things up?
Before we do that, can we get a donation update, Chris or Thomas? Can we get a donation update?
We're up to 1 Bitcoin now. We're up to 1 Bitcoin. Hisham and his projects. Thank you very much, guys. That's amazing. You guys. Look at that. 2007. That's more like it. That's the order of magnitude. That's the order of magnitude I'm thinking. Like, yeah, it's got to be more. And then along with all the improvements as well, I think it'll be fantastic. So look, this is great. This is exactly what I wanted out of this. And also to really just encourage people to, because with Bitcoin, you know, the incentives are aligned that people want to hold on to their coin because they think they're going to be worth more later. So as an artist and a creator, you do have to be a bit more proactive. I mean, I try to create the Pro Tip app. We're going to be relaunching that soon after SegWit. Trying to get Lightning Network. But if you've got a Bitcoin address on your webpage, in your description, on your YouTube, on your SoundCloud, on your Twitter, it just makes it that much easier. Go tell them to download protip.is or fork protip.is if you want to, and create your own version if you think you can do it better than we can. And try to get people and your friends into the habit of putting their Bitcoin addresses attached to their work wherever they go. And do encourage people. Like, it's not enough just to put the Bitcoin address there. You then have to do calls to action. You have to say to people, like, a lot of work went into making this website. You know, these servers don't pay for themselves. We'd really appreciate your help if you want to see it continue, if you want to see this project grow, if you want to see me do more work. And so this is the culture you want to get into, because if people don't pay for it, they end up becoming the products. You end up with advertising and all those things that we've talked about. So that's really what we're all about here on the World Crypto Network. Are we done, Tom? That looks
This
gorgeous.
is the final version of the Photoshop. I'm not sure if we can switch windows, but let's try to switch windows.
We're on you right now.
A Bitcoin chart guy with the Phantom of the Opera mask showing his amazing lens flare. We've got the Bitcoin Cash logo and the Bitcoin logo. And you see that guy in the back? That's a hedge. That's a shrubbery. So that's to represent all the hedging that's going on right now. We've got the support XBT. Huh?
You could have used MS Paint. I feel like this is an MS Paint deal.
No, MS Paint's being discontinued.
No, it's not. You can still get it for free off the App Store.
I'll never be able to get it again. It won't be there on the computer, and I'll have to play solitaire for hours and hours.
Anyway,
what will we do?
It's a good effort. We might have to hand this one over to Philippe for a little touch-up.
I'm going to tweet this one. We already got a Bitcoin. This is a award-winning artwork right here. I'm going to take full credit. All the Bitcoins were donated because of the artwork. Let's get a comment from the source. Bitcoin sign guy. Greatest artwork or the great artwork?
No, it's Bitcoin chart guy, Thomas. Bitcoin chart guy. Hashtag
chart guy, sign guy.
The greatest. I mean, this is like perfect. I mean, the way you captured my face, I really love it. But I mean, one Bitcoin, that's. I mean, I'm very happy, and not only because of the one Bitcoin. I mean, more of the gesture. You know, I love it to interact with people, to help other people. I'm more of how do you say that?
Philanthropy.
Like if you help an other, you're helping yourself. You know, yeah. And
always one.
Always one. And if you yeah, I mean. I'm speechless. I mean, I really like it. I like to give, but if you get, it's a very nice present, you know. I love the community.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, so Tom, just a comment from the troll box. The Bitcoin address needs to come in a little bit. Yeah, you've done it great. That looks good. Guys, well, I think it's been a good effort today. And I think we've really nailed it on those issues. And just got to wish everyone luck in the upcoming hard fork. Hodl hard, resist the temptation to sell your Bitcoins, keep control over your private keys. That's where they're safest. And be careful with that margin lending. You guys out there with you margin traders, watch out. That doesn't add risk, it multiplies risk, remember. So thank you to my special guest, Hisham, for joining us. It's at xbt.eu. All the links of stuff we discussed is in the description below. Thank you to Thomas for his great MS Paint work. Thanks to Vortex, thanks to Johnny, thanks to Theo who joined us earlier. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.